Welcome all to today's lecture. This is the first lecture of the lecture series for digital communication. Subject code is KEC 601. Today, the topic of the lecture that I am going to discuss is the probability theory and random variables. This is a very basic lecture for the first unit of the subject. Today, I'll discuss the very basic concepts of this topic. So let us first understand what is probability. So randomness and uncertainty exists in our daily lives, as we all know, and in every discipline of science, engineering and technology. Like if there is a communication channel, there will be certainly some noise, and the response of the communication channel is always undeterministic. The response of the channel in the very next moment we cannot determine the response. That is why we say that the response of the channel is very random, and this is how the randomness and uncertainty is defined. So probability theory is a mathematical framework that allows us to describe and analyze random phenomena in the world around us. So probability theory is the branch of mathematics, we can say, which is used to define the randomness, to describe the randomness in any of the application. So by random phenomena, we mean events or experiments whose outcomes we cannot predict with certainty. So those events in which there is not the deterministic behavior, those phenomena are termed as random phenomena. And the probability theory is the branch of science which is used to describe such phenomena. Let us understand this concept with the help of example quoted here. So here in this figure, I have shown that there is the mobile phone that we are very well versed with this device, and this is the cell tower. So when we talk on the phone, what we say is converted into a sequence of zeros and ones, because this is the machine language. And these are known as the zeros and ones are information bits. So these information bits are then transmitted by our cell phone antenna to a nearby cell or cell tower as shown. So the figure is demonstrating this phenomena. Here is the mobile phone and these information bits that which we call as signals. So in this demonstration, in the example of mobile phone, the information is sent in terms of zeros and ones. So this information is transmitted to the antenna in the nearby cell tower. So this is the cell tower. Now the problem that communication engineers must consider is that the transmission is always affected by some noise. The noise in the transmission is a random phenomenon. So we don't know the response of the noise. We don't know the behavior of the noise. Noise can be any signal in this form. There can be any signal which can be introduced in our communication channel as noise. So this behavior is unpredictable. The response of the signal presented here is undeterministic. So that's why this is the random signal. So noise which is introduced into the channel. Here the channel is space. Yes, here the channel is space. So the noise which is introduced in this channel, that is in this space, is indeterministic, random in nature. So now for this example, the probability theory is used extensively in the design of modern communication systems in order to understand the behavior of noise and take measures to correct the errors. So what is the need to study the probability? To understand the probability theory, to understand the randomness of the signals. It can be any signal. In this particular example, the random signal is noise introduced into the channel. So probability theory is used to understand the nature of such random signals and to find out how the noise can be removed, how these signals work and how these signals can be controlled. So this is possible only when we are able to measure the amplitude, measure the density, measure the frequency of such signals. So that's why the probability theory is studied. Let's understand the more terms under this random behavior of the channel of the signals. So the very first term in the probability theory is a random experiment. For example, before rolling a die, you don't know the result. Okay, so there is a random behavior of the dice. So whenever we throw some dice, there can be any number between 1 to 6. So whenever we throw some dice, what are the possibilities of the numbers which we can obtain? So these are the possibilities. So there is a randomness. We do not know the output at another moment. We don't know the result. So this is the random experiment. So rolling a dice is random experiment. And what are the possible outcomes? These are the possible outcomes. So how can we define the outcome? That is a result of a random experiment. Here the random experiment is rolling a dice, and this can be the outcome. It can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Now, the set of all possible outcomes is called the sample space. So what is the sample space for the experiment of rolling a dice? The complete sample space is this, and this is denoted by S. So for rolling a dice, the sample space consists of all the possible outcomes. So thus in context of a random experiment, the sample space is our universal set. So for the experiment of rolling a dice, this is the universal set. There is another example quoted here. Toss a coin. So whenever we toss a coin, we don't know what will be the output. It can be head, it can be tail. So this is the random experiment. Tossing a coin is random experiment. And what is the sample space? What is the universal set? The sample space is S, heads or tails. So this is the sample space of tossing a coin. It can be head and it can be tail. So this example I have already quoted, that rolling a dice is a random experiment and the sample space is this. So when we repeat a random experiment several times, we call each of them a trial. So when a certain random experiment is performed again and again, that is known as another trial. We are giving the trials. Okay. So these are some general terms related to the probability theory. So now events, talking about the events. We toss a coin 3 times, okay. Then observe the sequence of heads and tails. So what will be the sample space when we are tossing a coin 3 times? So this can be the sample space. It can be heads all the 3 times. It can be head the 2 times and a tail 3rd time. It can be head first time, tail 2nd time and head again the 3rd time. It can be tail for the first time and the heads for the next 2 times. Now again, it can be head for the first, it can be tails for the next 2 times. Now it can be the tail for the first time and the last time, and in the middle time, it can be head. Another possibility is it can be tails for the 2 times and head for the 3rd time. Another one is similar to this outcome, it can be tails in all the 3 tossing. So these are all the possible outcomes. So this is forming the sample space for the tossing the coin 3 times. Now when we are talking about the events, our goal is to assign some probability to certain events. For example, suppose we would like to know the probability that the outcome of rolling a fair dice is an even number. Okay. So whenever we roll some dice, I have already discussed, there are how many possibilities are there? These are the possibilities. And now I say that what is the possibility that whenever I roll a dice, the even number comes up. So what are the even numbers here? 2, 4 and 6. So there are total 3 possibilities. So how can I now define the probability of this event? The event is getting even number on rolling a dice. This is the event. Now what is the probability of this event? It is possible for three cases. Okay, as I have circled the 3 cases. So there are total 3 cases in which the possibility of getting the even number when rolling a dice. And what are the total cases? Total number of cases? There are 6 cases. So here the probability is 1 by 2. Now how to define the event? Event is defined by the term E, and this is the outcome. Here we write the possible outcomes in that particular event. So if the result of a random experiment belongs to the set E, then the event E we say that event E has occurred. Thus an event is a collection of possible outcomes. Similarly, if I say while rolling a dice, what is the event that the outcome is an odd number? So what are the possibilities? 1, 3 and 5. These are the odd numbers. Again, what is the probability of getting this event done? Again, there are 3 possibilities. So total, how many outcomes are there in the complete sample space? There are 6 outcomes. So the possibility of getting the even number is 3 by 6. So this is 1. Now again, let me ask that what is the possibility of the event of getting a perfect square? So we can see here, what are the possibilities of getting a perfect square? Let me write it again. Let me write it again. So what is the sample space? So this is the sample space of rolling a dice. And what is the possibility of the event that the perfect square comes? So there are 2 possibilities, 1 and 4. So total there are 2 outcomes of this event. What is the event? Getting a perfect square on rolling a dice. So total outcomes is 6 and 2 are the possible outcomes for this event. So what is the probability of this event? 1 by 3. So this is how we find the probability of a certain event. Now, there are certain probability rules, and we have to take care of these rules in every case. So these rules are applicable in every case. So whenever we say the probability, so how we define the probability? By the letter P. So suppose A is an event, so P on the bracket A. This is the way to write the probability of this event. Now, what is the axiom 1? That is the rule 1 for any event A. Probability of occurrence of A is always greater than or equal to 0. So this is the very first axiom. For the axiom 2, the probability of the sample space. What is the probability of the sample space? 1. Axiom 3. If A1, A2, A3 are disjoint events, what are the disjoint events? The event that cannot occur at the same time. Those are known as the disjoint events. Then the probability of the union of all the events, disjoint events, is equal to the probability of the summation of the individual probabilities of each event. So this is the axiom 3. That the probability of union of all the events is equal to the summation of the probabilities of individual events. One by one, let us understand these axioms by taking an example for each. The first axiom states that the probability cannot be negative. So this can be understood as like smallest value of the probability is 0 for any event. So if probability of A, that is event A, is 0, means there is no chance that event A can occur. So the event A may be considered impossible. So this is how the first axiom can be defined. So the first axiom says that for an event, probability is always greater than or equal to 0. Now axiom 2 is the probability of sample space S is 1. Let us understand this. Now what it wants to say, that it's saying that probability of the whole sample space is equal to 1. That is 100%. The reason for that is the sample space S contains all possible outcomes of a random experiment. Therefore, the probability becomes 1. Let us understand this by taking an example of rolling a dice. Suppose we are rolling a dice, and I ask you that what is the probability of the event of getting, okay, we are rolling two dice, okay. So let me ask that what is the probability of the event of getting less than 13 as the sum of the two dice, okay. So whenever you are rolling a dice, you will get certain outputs. So in any of the case, because the maximum number is 6 on each dice, so whenever we are performing the summation of the numbers on the two dice, this is the maximum number that we will get, okay. We cannot get the sum more than 12. So the possibility that of the outcome of getting 12 getting less than the number less than 13 on rolling two dice is consisting of the total sample space, because all the numbers that we obtain as the sum of the two dice is always less than or equal to 12, okay. So it's always less than 13. So that is why when we ask that what is the possibility of the event of getting less than 13 when rolling two dice, so it will consist of the whole sample space. So what are the total number of outcomes of rolling two dice? That is the 36. Okay, so 36 are the number of outcomes possible outcomes when we roll two dice. And again, since this event of getting less than 13 on rolling two dice is consisting of all the numbers, all the possible outcomes. So 36 is the possible number of possible outcomes. Again, 36 is the total sample space. This is how we get the probability of this event, and this is giving you 1. So the event in which the outcome consists of the total sample space, the probability of such an event is always 1. The basic idea of the third axiom is that if some events are disjoint, okay, so that is there is no overlap between them, the two events cannot occur at the same time, then the probability of their union must be the summation of their probabilities. So this is how we define it, like probability of A union B is equal to probability of A plus probability of B. This is what this third axiom is saying. Let us understand this concept by taking an example. In a presidential election, there are 4 candidates. Let them call A, B, and C and D. Based on our polling analysis, we estimate that A has a 20% chance of winning the election, while B has the 40% chance of winning. And what is the probability that A or B win the election? Either of the two will win the election. So let us first understand that the events that A wins, B wins, C wins, and D wins, these are the 4 events, okay, are disjoint, since more than one of them cannot occur at the same time. So the events of their individual winning are disjoint events. These events cannot occur at the same time. Only one out of these 4, only one can win at a time. So these are all disjoint events, okay, it's clear. Now, if A wins, then B cannot win. From the third axiom of probability, the probability of the union of two disjoint events is the summation of individual possibilities. Therefore, probability of either A wins or B wins is equal to the probability of A wins union probability of B wins. That is the summation of probability of A wins plus probability of B wins. So here the possibility of A winning is 20% and the probability of B winning is 40%. So what is the total probability? 0.6. That is how this concept, this third axiom can be applied to certain events. Now again, let us extend this idea of union and intersection. If A1 and A2 are the disjoint events, then probability of A1 union A2 is equal to probability of A1 plus probability of A2. This we have already discussed. Now, the same argument is true when we have n disjoint events. So this idea can be extended to more number of events. Like suppose there are n events denoted by A1, A2, A3 up to AN, Now again the probabilities of the union of such events is given by the summation of all the probabilities of individual events. Okay, so this is nothing but an extended idea of the previous idea. Okay, so as we have seen that when working with the events, intersection means and union means or. Okay, the probability of intersection of A and B, that is A, this is how the intersection is denoted, is sometimes shown by joint probability. So this is how it is denoted, that probability of A intersection B is given by probability of A and B, or the joint probability, and the probability of A union B is given by probability of A or B. So this is how the union and intersections are interpreted in the probability. So another concept of this union and intersection are given by the inclusive exclusive principle. So what this principle demonstrates is that probability of A union B is given by probability of A plus probability of B and minus the probability of intersection of A and B. So whatever the intersection, there is some common space between A and B, that is subtracted from the individual probabilities of events A and B. Another concept under the inclusion-exclusion principle is that probability of A union B union C, if there are more than two events. So how this principle is applied, that probability of A plus probability of B plus probability of C minus intersection of A and B minus intersection of A and C minus intersection of B and C and the intersection of all these three. So this is how the inclusion-exclusion principle is applied when there are three events. Now let's talk further on the discrete probability models. Consider how the discrete probabilities are defined. Like this, the discrete models are those probability models are those which are applied to the events, to the random variables which are discrete in nature. Like suppose, so in this case, since S is countable, we can list all the elements in S like S1, S2, S3 and so on. So if event A is the subset of S, then A is countable, and by the third axiom of probability we can write in this way. So this is the summation of all the probabilities of the discrete events. Now again talking about the conditional probability. So this is the conditional probability, and like this, the probability of occurrence of A provided the B has occurred. So this is how the conditional probability is defined. So this is given by the probability of intersection of A and B divided by the probability of occurrence of B. So suppose let's take an example. I roll a fair dice. Let A be the event that the outcome is an odd number. So what are the possibilities? That 1, 3 and 5. These are the odd numbers while rolling the dice. So let us take that B be the event that the outcome is less than or equal to 3. That is, this is 3. So less than or equal to 3 is 1, 2 and 3. So what is the probability of A? That is the event A. So what was the event A? That outcome is odd number, and again we have to apply the condition that it should be less than or equal to 3. So only there are two possibilities, 1 and 3. So this is how the probability is given. Now the probability of the event becomes 2 out of the total sample space. So talking about the conditional probability axioms for any event, probability of A by B, that is a conditional probability of A dependent on B is always greater than or equal to 0. Again, the conditional probability of B given B is 1, that is the probability of B conditionally dependent on B is 1. Third axiom is, if A1, A2, A3 are the disjoint events, then the combined probability of the union of these events conditionally dependent upon B is given by individual conditional probabilities of each event. Like, so these are the conditional probabilities of each event. So talking about the independent events, that the one event has nothing to do with the occurrence of another one. So if two events A and B are independent, and if and only if probability of the intersection of A and B is given by probability of A into probability of B, that is a multiplication of two probabilities. So this is how it is defined, that the conditional probability of A is given by probability of intersection of A and B upon probability of B. And since these are independent events, so the probability of intersection of these events can be written as multiplication of PA, that is both the probabilities. So now again it will be cancelled and only we are left with the probability of A. So it is again applying to the three events. So again this can be defined as this: probability of the intersection of A, B and C is given by the multiplication of all the three probabilities. So at the last, there is a concept of law of total probability. So whenever we define the total probability, so the probability of event A is given by a probability of intersection of A and B with and adding the probability of intersection of A and B with the probability of intersection of A and BC. What is BC? There is the another divided part of the sample space. So suppose this is the special case where there is a partition of the sample space into B and C. So we have to include both the systems, both the partitions. So using the definition of conditional probability, so the probability of intersection of A and B is given by this. So we can write the probability of A like this. So the law of total probability is defined for the n events, like suppose B1, B2, B3 and so on is the partition of the sample space n. For any event A, the conditional probability is defined by this. From this, the Bayes rule is derived. So this is the Bayes rule. So this Bayes rule is applied to such a case where these are the certain events B1, B2 and B3 and so on up to Bn are the certain events, and we have to find the possibility of occurrence of event A, which is possible only when any of the event out of B has occurred. So this is how this is where the Bayes rule is applied. So this is a conditional probability of occurrence of any of the event out of B conditionally if there is the occurrence of A. So this is how the Bayes rule is applied. So this was all for today's lecture. We have covered the basic concepts of probability, the basic probability axioms, conditional probability axioms, and which can be applied further in study for the study of the randomness of the noise or any other signals in digital communication. That's it. Thank you.